Growing the Future podcast is brought to you by Aberhart Ag Solutions. Join us as we talk to top entrepreneurs in the agricultural space about their methods of obtaining success in their endeavors. And now, your host, Dan Aberhart.
Nice to meet you too, in person.
Fellow Loft 32er.
Yeah, I know. I'm very excited about that. Crystal's one of my favorite people.
I was truly honored, but I did have to confess, that I've only paid to talk.
Oh, that's very different.
My paying fee is high. Like, if I want to go talk somewhere, it's literally like,
you guys want to hear.
It's going to cost me a lot of money.
I've been there. I was there for like 13 years, 14 years. Yeah, all the wheat grower stuff. That's how I started. And then it was anybody that'll listen about policy. Let's do it.
So, how do you cross that threshold to say, I'm worthy to pay me to come talk? It's not a small thing.
Yeah, it's actually really uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. And I think it's really uncomfortable for farmers too, because this is not in our skill set. If you want to be a farmer, you don't typically also love communicating. Most of the time you don't love people at all.
It's a solitary venture.
It is. Yeah. And I remember it being challenging. I didn't come into agriculture wanting to communicate or wanting to be on stage or wanting to be heard.
Yeah.
I just love to argue. I love to argue.
Well, I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, that was the beginning for me.
I just have nothing to back up any of my arguments, but I love to debate.
Well, there's lots of things to argue about in ag policy,
Okay.
and it can be fun. There's nothing wrong with that.
Ag policy, it's one of my strong areas.
Yeah.
No, I really admire that. Haven't crossed some of those thresholds myself. So you went from being a farmer to communicator. When did the light come on?
Well, I don't know if I was a farmer first, to be honest. I grew up on a farm.
Yeah. Where was that?
Mossbank.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, south central Saskatchewan, pretty close to the U.S.
Probably
border.
related.
Oh yeah, you know what? I'm definitely not related to my husband, and I take comfort in that.
We all should.
Yeah, we all should. But Mossbank's a small town.
Genetic diversity of humankind.
Yeah.
To begin with.
There was,
one thing.
There was a time I was a bit concerned about the family tree connections, but I'm confident now, so good.
I'm glad was 23andMe helped you out, or?
David and I, my husband and I, went to school together, like kindergarten through grade 12. We actually dated in grade 4. It's a long story.
Listen to this. That's amazing.
Dated in grade 4, and then dated. Took a little break, try new things, meet new people, experimental days.
That's another show.
Yeah, and then got back together. Grade 11, we started dating and been together.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's quite the journey.
Yeah. So he was one of those.
How do you grow with someone that long? I mean, obviously it hasn't worked out for me that well. It's like 6 or 7 year sprints.
Fair. I think we're vastly different people. I don't believe that people don't change. I think I'm vastly different.
Of course, they change tremendous amount. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about that with Brennan. Like, at what point do you look back and go, "Man, I was such a dumbass," and then you stop and you realize, I'm probably gonna think I'm a dumbass, at 40, even though you're only 20, 29.
No, I'm 40. I turned 40 this year,
What?
and I love that. I had a great time turning 40. This is the best time of my life right now.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
And I'm 43, and I'm like, what is going on? Because I'm loving it all.
Yeah. Yeah, life is really, really good.
Well, and it was so hard in the 20s. In my 20s, not in the 1920s. I can't speak to that. Only from books and movies.
I only barely remember it.
This is fun. Being 20 kind of sucked in its own way because you didn't have the power, you didn't know what you were doing, you didn't have to find your way, and now it's like, man, I'm starting to live in a space where I'm doing what I want most of the time. But anyways, this was not about me. So you weren't necessarily a true farmer, but you grew up in Mossbank in a small town farming community, come from the farm, and then you married a farmer.
I did. I married a farmer. Yeah.
Just taking a wild guess.
Yeah, we did marry eventually.
Didn't mean the town.
It was like almost
like
9 years, but we did eventually get married.
Perfect.
Yeah, but to David's credit, he knew that I was not interested in farming at all, and I knew that was the one thing he was interested in, was being a farmer.
What were you doing?
I wanted to do anything but farmer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's pretty broad.
Well, no, if there's one thing I knew for sure when I graduated high school, I was not going to be a farmer.
Yeah.
No, I did not see any area of skill set for me in that industry. went off. I wanted to travel. I definitely wanted to travel. It was the
Travel?
funnest thing in the world
Like
to
what
me.
capacity, like an ambassador?
No, I wanted to.
cruise ship?
I just wanted to see the world.
Yeah.
My parents took us to a lot of different places when we were kids, so I had the travel bug and an appreciation for other cultures, and I wanted to find some career that would allow me to travel. I was going to live in the city. I was going to do all these other things. I went to school in Medicine Hat first, took a diploma in marketing, hospitality and tourism marketing, and I had some fun gigs come out of that. Listen, do you remember the first time you went to Las Vegas? You shouldn't.
The very
theoretically.
first time, yeah, it was unforgettable. It was such a train wreck. I almost got fired from Lehman Brothers, but anyways.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Very good. See those things.
I was very
happen.
confused whether I was hosting or as a guest.
Oh.
The two don't mix.
No, they don't. You probably should have got fired.
Anyways,
My first time going to Vegas
Yeah.
was as a tour guide on a senior's bus.
really?
I know where every bathroom is on the strip. I would take the seniors to all of the bathrooms up and down the strip.
Messed up stories.
Yeah, I was a
Senior
tour guide
citizen. Yeah.
on a bus.
I've seen some shit go down.
Yeah. Told some great stories on the bus. How to put the fun back in
Do you
funeral.
sing the 99 Bottle song at all?
Oh, I tried,
Do you
but
have
they
to
shut me
memorize?
down. They actually shut me
I
down.
needed the cue cards.
I wasn't that smart back then.
Yeah, I wasn't good at counting. Okay, so you went to Las Vegas with a bunch of old people?
Just did lots of things. I landed my dream job as a Latin dance instructor on the beaches of the Turks and Caicos Islands.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Everybody should do
Let's
that.
all just take a moment.
Everybody should do that. And if you picture the white sand beaches, it's not unlike the soil that we have around Mossbank. Prime topsoil.
Except there's no ocean.
No. But you can imagine the skill
Small
set I would bring.
differentiator. But if you don't get away, you don't have now you probably love the farm for that very fact, because you could be dancing on
Yes.
this Caicos Turks
Mhm.
Island thing, you know, in a sundress with the white sand
Yep.
and the blue ocean, drinking fruity drinks, but you'd rather be unplugging the combine. I
Right.
think that's amazing.
I am truly grateful for all of those
This
experiences.
is like.
I'm very, very grateful. I would not be happy raising my kids and living on a farm in Mossbank had I not had every one of those other experiences.
My sister lived in Hawaii 2 separate occasions for a number of years at a time, and there's a thing called island fever that occurs to prairie dwellers too. I'm telling you, if you don't have the change of the seasons and stuff, you go a little bit.
I love
Crazy.
the change of seasons.
Yes.
Really love it.
It's always kind of refreshing, and you go through the hardship of winter and become
Makes you a
extremely
bit stronger.
sad disorder.
And when you have kids, you have to work extra hard to love winter. It's a bit challenging, but now we force our kids to find at least one winter sport that they adore, because you cannot live in Saskatchewan and not have an appreciation for all of the seasons. And it's very easy to lock yourself. It's very easy to not let nature touch your skin at all in the wintertime. You go from your house into your heated garage, into your vehicle. You open up the garage door and you get out, you go over to somebody else's and you get out, and there's like no elements touch you.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant point. Like, we're so insulated, and I think it's a metaphor for our lives. We're so insulated against any sort of discomfort. We're never hungry, we're never cold, we're never thirsty, we're never too hot, and if we are, we bitch. I mean, my truck will warm my hands and, you know, cool my butt at the same time if I wanted to. It would be weird, but just if I try to prove a point to society, hashtag proving a point.
Yep.
Hot hands, cool butt.
Because I want to. Because
Because I can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got the fossil fuel to do it. So you were on the beach and then you went to the farm?
Yeah. So, yeah, there was a bit of a transition period there, but old college.
Fast forward.
Yeah, I jumped right quick to the beach. but
This is your home.
I went to college
Sweet.
here. This
That's
is my
amazing.
alma mater.
So why would you come here?
Okay, there's a good story behind that.
Okay.
I had an opportunity, after I came back from the islands, I had an opportunity to take my next dream job, which was like a sales manager for a tour company, and it would be based out of Calgary. So this was a crossroads. I actually had to make a decision. because if I take that job, that means the life that we had talked about with David back home on the farm was truly not going to happen. At least in my mind, I had to make a decision. Or the option was to find something that I could do on the farm where his heart was taking him. And
so he wasn't on the farm yet, too? You guys didn't know
he went to Lethbridge College, actually.
But you guys didn't know if you're going to farm?
He was going to farm, definitely. It's whether or not I was going to find a place there with him.
But you're close enough to the city that could have worked.
Yeah, possibly, but in my mind it would not. I felt like I needed to make the decision.
Have you always been that stubborn, or just in your youth?
I'm quite stubborn, yes. Very indecisive. Short hair, long hair.
I think
Very
that's a great
indecisive.
decision, personally.
Yeah.
I love it.
Now it's with purpose, but before it's like, I don't know, I'll do both.
You're doing good. Keep that hair going.
Okay.
It's a trademark.
Did you think so?
Are you kidding me?
Well, then I'll have to be more creative with the
It's
next one, I guess.
instantly
Now it's an
recognizable.
expectation? Ugh.
You better keep going with it. Don't let your fans down.
My fan base, yes, including my kids.
Yeah.
They are my biggest fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up on college here because a good friend of mine, was Alana Cook.
No way.
Yeah, my parents
You
knew her
know.
really well through the wheat growers.
Yeah.
And my dad suggested, Alana's done some cool things in agriculture. Why don't you just call her up and see what she says? And she said to me, why don't you think about going to college? She didn't recommend university for me. She said, what about like an old college where it's a small campus and you could just really discover if there's something in agriculture that you might like? And that was not a thought that had occurred to me before. I didn't think that I could go to school to learn to like farming.
How old were you then?
I was about 20.
20?
Yep.
So you'd done a lot of this stuff before?
Yeah,
A couple years of
Yep, and I was ready to
being a gypsy?
being a bit of a schizophrenic, you could also call it.
Schizophrenic.
It's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, respect.
Yeah, but I think being versatile is another good word. Adaptable.
Never lonely.
I can be happy in just about anywhere. I know that now.
Isn't
I was
it great to
unsettled
find these
then,
things
but
out?
I'm happy. Yeah.
Good for you.
So I ended
I
up
know what
on
you're talking
Colts
about.
College, and this was one of the best decisions I ever made was to show up on this campus.
Well, that's one hell of a plug, and that basically covers the whole media pass
The-
for me and my brother that you just said that.
Good. I'm glad. Anytime I can plug Olds College, I'm going to do it.
Well, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
they welcomed
important.
me with open arms on this campus, and we had a really strong I like really take ownership in this college. There was an agriculture, we were very much known for agriculture at Olds College, and they had a fashion program, which I thought was brilliant because at that time, 90% of the students in the agriculture program were male, and 90 or plus of the
So the fashion
was female,
denim,
so the campus was rocking all the
denim and
time.
coveralls
It was
and
awesome.
how to tie a knot.
Yep. I did not have a belt buckle at all, so
How
I
did
was.
the men do on the runway?
They had lots of fashion shows, actually. I think a lot of the cowboys on campus helped out on the fashion shows.
Can you help me? Because,
You're good. You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
all right, thanks. That
Yeah.
means a lot.
No coveralls.
I'm kind of on TV right now.
Yeah. Just to be aware of your appearance.
So you went to college,
Mm-hmm.
and then you discovered the deep hidden schizophrenia part of you that was actually a farmer.
I discovered or learned to appreciate the argumentative side of me. I love to argue. I love the art of debate. And I've learned. I also went home and I was the economic development officer for our town when I first moved home.
Oh, cool.
So I learned.
That'd be a great role.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Then you are paid to be the cheerleader for your town. Yeah, so I got to sell my hometown that I never wanted to go back to. So I struggled internally with all of that irony. But discovering the history of my town was very cool. Every small town has like their story. And Mossbank is the home of the Great Debate. That's
Really?
our thing. That's our tagline. That's us.
didn't know that.
1957, Tommy Douglas and Ross Thatcher. They debated. They
That's
held
so
this
cool.
debate in Mossbank. Live debate. Like,
Yeah.
I was born in the wrong time period. I think this is what we are missing in our society is the art of debate. Everybody's so afraid to argue and not come to consensus, and we all have to have one voice, and we all have to come together. I think you need to strengthen your arguments, and we don't teach kids how to strengthen their arguments. And
Have you ever
does-
been on Twitter?
This is not a good place to train.
No,
140
it's
characters,
basically a
not good for
dumpster
us
fire.
communicators.
That's basically a dumpster fire.
It is.
God bless it.
Those are your warriors that really haven't strengthened their arguments yet.
So did you help people succeed with the entrepreneurial development or the economic development?
You know, I did try a lot of that. There was a lot of battles against us. We actually had a noodle plant in Mossbank, the only one in like North America. There's one other one. The only pasta plant, in Canada, sorry. And it got shut down. The timing was not good for the noodle plant, and the shutdown too for our hometown. So we tried to revive that. We tried to bring in some new businesses. It's still sitting empty today. But I think what I did for the community, and it was as much for me as it was for them, was to bring that groundswell of pride for the community. And internally, I didn't have it yet. So it was a work in progress for me. I thought the more I can have this community be proud of itself, the more I will be proud of it too. So, and the same thing for farming. The more I can showcase that we don't have enough pride in this industry, so let's do it, the more I taught myself to do that too. I really had to learn to love my hometown again. And that's hurtful probably to say, but I thought that when I was growing up in high school that I was not being awarded all of the opportunities. And now I wouldn't raise my kids anywhere else. I love it there. Yeah.
Something about being from Saskatchewan.
Yeah. I have an enormous amount of pride for my town and my community and what we're doing and raising our kids there.
It's amazing to be able to relate to people.
Mm-hmm.
People who believe what we believe. People who share the same values.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a community. It's a true community in town. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think it's interesting because it's a complex answer. Like, you didn't just say yes. And now I'm going to ask you the same question, but about the agricultural community. Have you been able to help the agricultural community? Is that a simpler answer?
Have I been able to help the agriculture community? I didn't go into it. I'm not a philanthropic person where I was trying to help an industry. It was very selfish. Every step along my journey has been selfish. I hope that it was for the good of the industry, but those steps were selfish. I wanted to learn about agriculture. I wanted to go to Ottawa, and I wanted to no longer be under the suppression of the Canadian Wheat Board. I wanted to learn about trade.
I love it.
And
you wanted to dance on the beaches of Turkish Caicos.
Yeah.
And you did.
I did want to do that. So
I love it.
I can't say that
there's
philanthropy or anything.
Should we have shame?
I'm very selfish.
Wanting what we want.
Mm-hmm. I hope that there was some good that.
As long as you don't want like World War III, we're good.
Right?
Just
which I don't, to clarify.
It.
I do not, for the record.
It'd be like keyboard warriors be like, we're not clear on Cherilyn Nagel's position on World War III.
Mm-hmm. We did operate a hunting lodge, so I am also a gun carrier.
Dancing,
so there's
hunting,
lots of these things.
Farming, economic development, speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to share here?
Yeah. Lots and lots of things. I
Just
love
getting started,
sitting on my local museum committee and
nice.
Yeah.
Huh?
Variety, spice of life.
What's your favorite item in the museum?
Oh boy, there's so many. Again,
narrow it down.
Narrow it down to one.
Give me one.
My favorite item in the Mossbank Museum. Can it be a building?
It can be whatever you want.
Oh,
does that count?
I really love the schoolhouse. I owe this industry everything.
Yeah.
I owe this industry everything. And I owe it all of my happiness and gratitude that I have today. And do you know what I love about my 22-year-old self? Her naivety. She knew that my naivety at that age
it helps sometimes.
Is what got me through all of those steps. The being president of the wheat growers is a ridiculous thing. Now that I look back at 22 with zero experience.
You were president?
All I had was energy. That's what I brought to the table.
I feel like that's a House of Cards episode or something.
Yeah, yes. Wasn't a power struggle though. It was just like, yeah, that sounds fun. Let's do
it.
It
was you that killed the wheat board.
Oh, don't give me that credit. There's way too many people that deserve the credit for that. But
Beauty.
I loved being part of that argument.
Beauty.
Absolutely loved it.
What did you talk about today? I missed your presentation.
Today was a great presentation. I've not given this presentation before. It was an introduction to the Global Farmer Network. So this is an organization that is quite meaningful to me. I was involved since 2000, have been involved since 2008.
Cool.
And it was originally called Truth About Trade and Technology. and it was started by 5 Iowa farm boys in the year 2000.
Can't be that bad then.
They're great people, and they're still sitting on the board today, which I love.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, become good friends of
What
mine.
year was it started, sorry?
In the year 2000.
2000.
Yeah, so in 1999, the precursor to the WTO was GATT. Do you remember that?
No, I didn't really get the Western producer.
GATT.
I didn't read it.
Before the WTO was GATT. And so the GATT negotiations were happening in Seattle in 1999. And there was some concerns around globalization, and there was peaceful protests were planned at the negotiation, which there generally are. Those peaceful protests became riots. There's actually a movie made in 2007, Battle in Seattle. You got to watch it. Charlize Theron, Woody Harrelson, good people, big
Woody
cast.
Harrelson?
Yeah, it was a big deal. Battle in Seattle, and it talked about the riots of the Seattle negotiations. And those 5 Iowa farm boys were so shocked and taken aback that these trade negotiations that were absolutely vital to farmers around the world were being seen as that people would feel so harshly about these negotiations that they would protest and riot in that capacity. So they were fearful about the industry and what was going to happen to trade and to access to technology. So they started Truth About Trade and Technology, and it has since grown to the organization it is today called the Global Farmer Network. And we are covering 50 nations and extend over 6 continents of farmers around the world that come together basically for 2 purposes. We all agree that what farmers grow should be traded around the world. We should have strong trade agreements. And 2, we should have access to technology. If there's technology out there that would empower a farmer, would enable them to grow better, more sustainable crops, healthy, affordable food, they should have access to that. So we come together for that purpose, and the purpose of the Global Farmer Network is to amplify the farmer's voice in all of those discussions. There's many, many trade negotiations and conferences and meetings and panels that are talking directly about agriculture and food production, and there's very few farmers that are invited to those tables, to that conversation. So it's our goal to amplify the voice of farmers and ensure that we're being heard.
And how are you doing that?
Well, we have a international board of directors, and we have a round table. So every year we invite 10 to 15 new farmer members from all over the globe to attend a roundtable discussion.
Cool.
They're well vetted and they are nominated by their country. Well, it's a pretty strict vetting process. I don't know. Do you think he'd make the cut? I don't know. You know what? I'll see what I can do. It's kind of a lineup for people from Canada wanting to get in, so I take cash.
Alphabetically, A, B, E.
Okay.
Anyways.
Yeah. So we invite a new group of farmers to come every year, and they come and they sit at a round table, and we learn about our commonalities, we learn about our differences, we learn about how we can work together. Well, typically it's been held in Iowa on October around the World Food Prize. So
Cool.
Norman Borlaug, kind of the grandfather of the Green Revolution,
Right.
he's celebrated every year at the World Food Prize.
Cool.
So we have a roundtable discussion there. But we are, as part of the growth of the organization, we're starting these roundtables in various other countries around the world. So India is coming up and Argentina.
Like the Illuminati.
Not like that at all, actually.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
very different.
And how's it going? Are you winning the war?
You know, I think what we are successful in thus far is putting farmers at the forefront. So one of the best things I think the organization is doing today is putting speakers, like our farmer members are very articulate and very passionate about communicating what they need.
Yeah.
And we're ensuring that they get spots on some pretty major conferences and agendas and meetings. And we are not a lobby organization, but we do help when we can our membership to get meetings and find a way that they can get progress for these 2 issues that are really important for us.
How much time are you putting into this?
I haven't calculated. I haven't calculated.
Which one of those little kids, like my brother has an app, if he's working on Aberhart Egg, he turns it on.
He turns it
whatever
on.
he needs. Yeah,
I don't
no,
want to do that. I don't really want to know, because I really feel like this is something that I was meant to do. I really love.
Because you can do it.
Yeah, I thoroughly
enjoy.
enjoy.
Band of competencies.
From my experience, farmers truly are rock stars, and the world loves to hear from farmers.
They're
As
heroes.
much negativity,
They're heroes.
yeah, as much negativity as there is, and as frustrated as we get around, the
Yeah.
non-GMO labeling and the glyphosate discussions. Truly, when I talk to people,
Yeah.
they have an appreciation for farmers and what we do. And I believe that if we can get more farmers on the stage, if we can implore more farmers to have conversations, that we can move that needle. Perhaps I have not grown out of my naivety at 40, but that is what I believe today, that farmers, an amplified voice of farmers will help.
And I don't know that it's ever as bad as portrayed by the media. I mean, the media essentially thrives on clickbait, which is essentially disasters. I mean, that's what makes
Yeah.
us click. It's the nature of the beast, and that's how they make money. What's one of the most craziest moments you ever had on the stage?
Oh, I don't know. A crazy moment that I have had on the stage. I'm very prepared. You and I were talking about this before. Crazy moments. Oh, I do have one. I have
Cool,
a great
perfect.
example.
Yeah,
Okay.
awesome.
Last fall, I was speaking to the Agriculture Society of the Commonwealth. And they had their biannual meeting in Edmonton. And I'd done a little bit of research. So there's people coming from all over the Commonwealth to come to this meeting around agriculture. And they invited me to come and talk about public trust. So I have my presentation put together. It's wonderful. And I see that the princess is the chair of the Agriculture Society of the Commonwealth.
There was a princess.
Yeah, and she
I love stories of
was,
princesses.
yeah,
I mean,
so she's there.
Perfectly Disney kind of way, but anyways, go on.
She's a wonderful lady. So anyways, I'd read her bio and she was there. And once I get to the facility, they tell me that she's here and she's going to be coming to your presentation. And there's going to be security and there's all of these kinds of protocols. And you are not supposed to look at her. You're not supposed to go over there. You're not supposed to be like hi and wave. You're not supposed to take selfies. You're not supposed to do. There's lots of protocols. So I was a bit having.
Or not to take selfies
okay,
sometimes.
she's coming into my presentation. They had an entire couple of rows sectioned off in the front, so she's going to be sitting in the front. And I'm not letting it bother me. I have a great audience of people and a great message that I want to share. So Princess is there too. Cool, check. And then as I'm going through my stories on stage, I love to incorporate raising my daughters on the farm into this conversation around public trust and what I have to do to, if I want to have a farm to pass on to the next generation, there's a lot of privileges I need to protect, and agriculture technology is one of them. And I have a great picture of my daughter when she was very little, driving a tractor and wearing a beautiful princess dress with a crown and everything. And I'm telling this story, and the punchline to that story, the ending of that story is, I've taught my daughters that princesses can also drive tractors. And I've never told this story with a princess actually in the room. So as I'm gearing up to tell this line, I can see the princess there, and I'm asking myself in my head, is this going to be appropriate? Can you actually say this? How is this going to work? And
Are you gonna get beheaded?
yeah, so I said, I've taught my daughters that princesses can also drive tractors. And
Yeah.
I looked right at the princess. I said, no offense. And she starts laughing, and we had
That's
a
amazing.
great story.
So you weren't supposed to look at it, but you looked at it.
Wasn't
and you
supposed
had
to do any
a
of
joke.
that. Yeah.
But
She came up
she's
to
probably
me.
human. She's
She
like,
was wonderful.
There's stupid rules. She's probably thinking there's stupid rules. Here's this lovely girl comes from Canada. Totally
Telling
bust
us
it open.
adorable children with So she comes up to me.
Yeah, children will get them every time.
She comes up to
Good
me
for
after
you.
the presentation. She comes up to me. I did not break the rules. She comes up to me with all of her bodyguards in check. And she says to me, I'll have you know, I do drive tractors. And she
Wow.
said, but they don't
Take
have
one
a
back.
cab. Yeah, she was lovely.
That's so
and
cute.
we stood for 20 minutes talking about cool farming stuff.
Well,
so
and that's your role, was to break down barriers and bring it on home.
speak to the princesses of the world.
Yeah, sounds like a good gig.
It was a great gig, yeah. It was awesome.
You like the travel?
The travel's a bit exhausting.
Double-edged sword, eh?
Yeah, it is. And most of my travel happens in the wintertime
Right.
when we're not busy. And so winter travel, especially out of Regina, is terrifying at times. There's lots of flight schedules and luggage lost and
It's a dangerous city.
yeah, Regina. Anyways, but I do thoroughly enjoy it. This is like weeks like this. I probably overbooked myself this summer, But weeks like this are kind of crazy. I had 3 entirely different presentations this week with entirely different audiences.
Good
so
for you.
that it requires a lot
Working
of preparation. And yeah.
And what is your role on the farm?
Well, right now I really should be at home. We're doing a little bit of crop checking, but through the harvest, we have one of the best crews right now that we've ever had. My husband said after seeding that went as efficiently and as fun as he can ever remember it. So I owe an enormous amount of credit to the guys that we have today. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they're there and they're so capable allows me to take part in a lot of these other extracurricular activities that I'm really passionate about and that no longer only happen in the wintertime. So I'm afforded some time when I wouldn't be normally if I was needed on the farm. So I'm going to head home at harvest time, and my sister-in-law share the responsibility of feeding this amazing crew at harvest, and I'm thoroughly enjoying that role now. I love to cook for a grateful group, and I'm extremely grateful to have them as capable operators and doing what they do on our farm so that I can do what I do.
Gratitude goes a long way.
Yeah.
You ready for the last question? It's Humdinger.
Okay, hit me.
Cherilyn, Nagel, what is the best part of your legacy that you think that you're going to leave behind? What's going to be the best part of your legacy?
My legacy? Oh, I suppose because I have children, they would have to be part of that legacy.
But, yeah, could be more than that.
I think my legacy will be an appreciation for the industry. I mean, a true, deep appreciation for this industry and the role that it plays in society. I come from a family of farmers, from a town of farmers, a province, and a country whose GDP has always, been dependent on agriculture. So I took for granted my childhood growing up on the farm. I took for granted the industry that I was born into, and I don't want to take for granted anymore the industry that I'm allowed to participate in. And I'm so grateful that this industry has welcomed me with open arms, with a skill set that wasn't here before. I now have a great place in this industry to be able to talk about the cool people that I meet in the industry. And I'm not a visionary. I'm truly not. I don't love people to ask me about the future of agriculture. There's enough people that have a vision for the future of agriculture. I'm happy to go along for the ride, and I trust that the good people in this industry that are so technologically advanced, so much smarter than I am in all of these other areas, that I'm excited to see what they do that I get to benefit from.
Well said. What a pleasure.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
Great to chat with you too.
Oh, so cool. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, love it.